Quick Euro USD outlook as well as a trade breakdown, right? So again, if we just go back and look at our overall market structure, we can see we're very much bullish, right? So we had the high from previous week, we had a structural high, structural low, and then we have a structural high. Now, one thing that I often tell all my traders is you want to utilize what we call the weekly opening price, right? So the weekly opening price is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, once you have the 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on your charts, just take a look and drag this to the right and see what we get, right? So the main tip is you want to be selling above the weekly opening. So when you get to the weekly opening, look for a sell above that. Now, this is what I mean. We're going to be going over a two-phase manipulation, right? So we had some news coming out around 8:30 in the morning Eastern Time. So that's about 1:30 UK. Here in the UK, 1:30 p.m. So number one, we saw the London session, right? We saw the pre-London session, the London session sweep this Asian low, right? This is what we call manipulation phase one. Manipulation phase one is an enticement of sellers. So we're looking for a bearish power of three model. How do we do this, right? We're looking for a power of three and we're looking for a manipulation. Now, when we take sells, we actually want to be taking sells above this Asian range. So people often ask me, what does ARH stand for? What does ARL stand for? Asian range high, Asian range low. This is the Asian range high, right? Asian range high, ARM, ARH, Asian range high. Now, we want to be selling above the Asian range high, which is subsequently above the daily opening, the midnight New York opening price, and it's also above this weekly opening price. So if we can take sells and position ourselves above the daily opening, the weekly opening, this will give us a much higher probability when it comes to looking for sells. Okay, so this is the first thing we want to understand. The second thing we want to understand is if we look at Wednesday, we had a massive move to the downside, very aggressive move to the downside, right? So we have a fair value gap just over here, right? So we have our key level kind of just in this region over here. This is our key level. Now, what makes this a key level? Well, it's a fair value gap. It's an inefficiency, okay? Left an imbalance, a bearish imbalance. And it also is in a higher time frame PDA rate. So this is now the high of the day from Wednesday, and this is the high of the week. So how did I frame this sell trade, right? This sell trade was again given to the community members. So we're coming into a key level, right? We're coming into a bearish fair value gap. We have potentially the high of the week, which normally forms by about Tuesday to Wednesday, New York time, all right? New York session, sorry. And we're above this weekly opening. So this gives us potential to look for sells, right? This is how I kind of frame it. So we wait for the news event to come out, right? This was the 8:30 a.m. Eastern time news event, right? So we always trade after the news event. This is very important to understand. We trade after the news event, right? If I continue to play price on, we have two massive bullish pushes, right? Coming into the fair value gap. So we've swept the Asian range high. Notice how we're above the box over here. So we're above the Asian range high. Now we've come into the fair value gap, right? And this is where we can start looking for weakness. We can start looking for the sellers to come into the market, right? We want to see price respect this fair value gap, right? So from here now, we actually end up seeing that, right? So we see some consecutive down candles, right? Notice how from here price has now started to close below the previous bullish candle, right? This gives us an indication to look for sells, right? This makes me a lot more comfortable to look for sells when we see a reversal off a key level above the Asian range high and above the weekly opening, right? Notice how we've also come into Wednesday's high, which had a massive sell-off, right? So this is what gives me indication to look for sells, right? So this is what we call our manipulation phase two. So phase one was below the Asian range. This looks to entice early sellers. Now from here, we see price heading higher. So when price heads higher, it's an enticement of buyers. So we're looking to sweep out sell side and buy side liquidity before the market moves in its intended direction. So this is where the sell trade could have been taken from, right? So you take a sell trade over here, stop loss just kind of just below the Judah swing over here, or the high of the day. And you're simply looking to target the fair value gap from London. So we had a fair value gap from London just over here, right? So this is going to be your target. So we simply trade from fair value gap to fair value gaps. Understanding where the fair value gaps are gives you a massive kind of advantage to taking sell trades, right? So this was kind of the sell idea for what 1.5 hour trade. So not massive, but not too low either. Very nice scalp in the New York session, right? So again, we had price giving us the scalp. We haven't quite got to our target yet, which is fine. But this is a quick overview as to the quick scalp I took on Euro USD.